There we go. Hey guys, Atticus here with MMA Island. I'm here with Cory McKenna today. First off, congrats, Cory, on the big win on Contender Series last week. That must feel great. How are you feeling after that?
Yeah, I was absolutely over the moon. Obviously, a little bit surreal at first. It's the sort of thing everyone kind of dreams about. It's their goal. I had a couple of days absolutely buzzing. Felt like it wasn't real, and then back to the work now. Back on the mats, back ready. Hoping to get back in there as soon as possible.
Nice. So, when did you get the call? Was it just recently before the fight, or a while ago? How long ago was that?
So I took the fight on a few weeks' notice. I think it was just under 3 weeks.
Okay.
So obviously that gave us 2 weeks to get medicals and visa and everything done, and then flew straight out there and had a fight. So luckily I'd been training pretty much obviously it suffered a little bit because of the coronavirus, but I was still training multiple times a day, regardless of whether I had a fight or not, just trying to stay ready, constantly harassing Uriah and Jack to try and get me on last minute fights. So obviously I was ready for something to pop up anyway, so I'm glad I got the call.
And Contender Series is filmed in Vegas, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that wouldn't have been too bad of a flight because you're with Alpha Male, right, in California?
No, I was at home, so I flew from Heathrow in England.
Oh shit. Okay, all right. So then that must have probably taken off some of must have been a little tough to perform, going from England and then short notice, because I think I remember seeing a post on your Instagram saying I can't wait for you guys to see me on a full camp and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, we were still training and stuff hard, but we were training out of my coach's garden. We're rolling out some mats and just having a training there in the evening. So we were still working hard, but it wasn't the same intensity. And obviously, didn't have that fight camp. I was still doing my strength conditioning and stuff, but obviously when you've got a fight in mind, you can tailor it and taper it for that. So I didn't have that aspect, and obviously you don't have the game planning side. Sparring was obviously lacking a little bit due to not having facility. So just I say, we made the best of the situation, but it'll be very exciting to kind of show everybody what level I'm performing at. With a full camp, especially now that I'm at Team Alpha Male full time. I'm excited to show everyone the gains that I can make here.
And when did you start training at Alpha Male?
So I first went there when I was 16. But my first big training camp, I was 17. I went out for 9 weeks over the course of my 18th birthday was midway through that. I went out for a couple of months. That was kind of my birthday present before I was meant to be making my pro debut.
Wow. So you've been involved with MMA since you were a teenager, basically.
Yeah. Wow. I started fighting when I was 15.
Really? That's pretty badass. So that's cause I was gonna ask you when you got into MMA, so you were really young then.
I started training MMA at 13 and then had my first amateur at 15.
That's pretty badass. They allow people people under 18 to have amateur fights?
Yeah, so there's no laws on it in the UK. It's completely down to coach and promoter discretion. Naturally, it took a lot of convincing. My coach was bald already, but he definitely would have lost a lot of hair over that one as well. Stressing him out a lot. But I finally gave him enough puppy dog eyes and nagged at him enough, and he got me a fight. We found another girl locally that was around the same age and weight, and I had my first fight, so it's fun.
Wow. And you were undefeated, right, as an amateur fighter?
Yeah, I was 7-0.
Nice. Yeah, because I saw on your Instagram it said 7-0 amateur and then 5-1 as a pro fighter.
Yeah.
Wow. And so you went to Alpha Male when you were 18?
17, yeah.
17. Okay. And so since then you've went back and forth from England to there?
Yeah, pretty much done. It's been about 3 months on, 3 months off ever since.
Okay, cool.
Because I've been traveling on an ESTA, so I can't overstay 3 months. But I've got my visa now, so I've moved out here for at least 3 years on a P1.
Was it difficult to be able to get to the States with the COVID and stuff? Like, I know there's like traveling bans and stuff for.
So the UFC have like a waiver system. So basically, like I had a corona test before flying out there, so
Right.
then they had a waiver for the 14-day isolation rule. Because then we literally went to the airport, got picked up, went straight to the hotel. We had another corona test.
Right.
So they had like a waiver for the travel restrictions, but I think that's purely just because they're testing us so much and keeping us isolated. And then I basically decided to make the most of having the travel restrictions waived. And I instead of going back home, I went straight from Vegas to Sacramento and decided to make the move.
So where are you right now? Are you in Sacramento right now, or are you?
Yeah.
Okay. When do you plan on going back to England?
No plans. It completely depends on fights. Obviously it's not cheap to fly there and stuff as well. No. So I'm not going to go without sounding bad, unless I need to. Like, I still speak to all my friends and family every single day, so it doesn't really make too much of a difference on that in terms of visitation. And like I say, I'm getting the best training here, so I'm just going to stay here for as long as I can, get as much training as I can in, and try and get those fights wrapped up.
And when do you plan on getting back in the Octagon?
As soon as possible. Obviously, I want to get a bit of training in. Like I say, didn't get like a full training camp for the last one, and like been messed around a little bit with fights for the last 18 months. So obviously, I want another at least one more by the end of the year. I know they're already kind of talking to Mick and trying to get me matched up. So hopefully, I'll have something I can announce soon enough. But it shouldn't be too long.
That would be great. I'd love to see you in a UFC event, hopefully sometime in the fall or something like that. That would be really cool.
Yeah.
So the girl you were fighting, like, did you know anything about her, or was you kind of just going in going into that fight? Did you see any tape on the girl you were fighting, or was she like relatively unknown to you?
I watched her fights when they offered me. Obviously, Uriah messaged me, went, right, Contender Series, 3 weeks. This is the girl they've got. What do you think? I watched her fights. Obviously, I was going to say yes regardless. But yeah, I'm one of the people that I'll watch a little bit, but I'm not one of those people that likes to obsess over what my opponents are going to do. At the end of the day, we're both training hard, both fighters, and everyone develops at different rates, so you never really know who you're going to get when you get in there. Like, I knew she had a high pedigree of grappling, and I knew she was LFA world champion, so I knew I was in for a tough fight. Naturally, my coaches obviously watched a lot of her tape and devised like a game plan and stuff. But me personally, like, I watched a couple of her fights and then went, okay, cool, done. So that, like, a lot of it's, I mean, I watched some with Uriah. We sat down, we had a chat about what I think they're doing. But like I say, a lot of it with me is just going out there and trying to instigate my own game plan, like do my own thing.
And so what's your preferred style of fighting?
To be fair, I train everything equally and have done since I was like 11. So I really don't have a preference in terms of like when I'm training and everything. I think a lot of my fights tend to be more grappling and wrestling orientated. Don't know if that just seems to come a bit more naturally. I don't know. I always say I play into my opponent's weaknesses, but I think after the fight on Tuesday, we can't say that. I quite literally sat down in her guard after saying she's got good grappling, I'm going to strike with her. So I don't really know. Like, I like all of it. I just try and go out there and make sure I show a little bit of everything off to everyone, because at the end of the day, like, I'm a mixed martial artist. I'm not a boxer. I'm not a wrestler. Like, I want to go out there and show everyone that I'm capable wherever.
Nice. And I think that's the way to be in today's day of fighting. Like, so many fighters are like really well-rounded everywhere. So like, you'll see guys or girls who are, kind of a specialist in one thing, they get exposed in another. So I think that's important to be able to, wherever the fight goes, to be able to hold your own.
Yeah.
So you said you've been training since you were 13, like you started. So what got you into it? Like, did you see like signs anywhere? Like what actually like made you decide you want to like be a fighter?
So I actually started karate when I was 10. That was more of like a little bit of a hobby. Like, my dad was away with the army a lot. My mum was already doing karate as like a little bit of you know, a little bit of a hobby, a bit of distraction. Like she'd take my brother along to like, they did like a mums and toddlers group.
Mm-hmm.
I tried every single sport. Like I come from like a quite an athletic family. Like my dad used to run for the country and stuff. So like they're very big on doing sports or just being active. So as a kid, I obviously tried a lot of different things. Like karate was the one thing that really stuck with me. So I started doing that, started competing regularly at that. About a year later, I started Muay Thai Jiu-Jitsu and boxing. And then I think after about a year of that, again, competing in that, I just turned around and went, well, I'm doing it all anyway. I might as well give it a go. And then just went to the local MMA gym, dragged my mum along, and we just kind of never looked back.
Nice. And what fighter? Who's your favorite fighter? Like, is there a fighter you were watching growing up that you that kind of like inspired you, or that you were a big fan of?
Not really. It's always quite a tough one to try and explain to people. Like, I'm not massively obviously I have a lot of respect for every single fighter that's in the UFC or doing what they're doing to accomplish their goals. But for me, like a big thing was like the boys on the mats. Like they might have not been on. Not all of them might not have been in the UFC, but a lot of them were competing at a high level on like the local scene, like the European scene with Cage Warriors. But just seeing in the gym, like that to me was a big inspiration. Like they're on the mats every single day, putting in the work, and just seeing the hard work behind the scenes inspires me a little bit more than the actual fights. And I think for me, like my biggest influences and stuff were probably like Jack Mason. I grew up with Arnold Allen. He's in the UFC now. And just like lads like that, like just like say, just seeing how much work they put in, but also just the sort of characters they are as well. Like they helped me out massively with my career, so I'd probably say them actually, as opposed to these champions that I don't really know too much about.
That's cool. I like to hear that. That's pretty cool. Yeah. Arnold Allen though, that's cool. So you guys grew up together, like you known him since you started training, or?
Yeah, we both started at the same gym. So I was 13. He would have been about 18.
Mm-hmm.
Then we pretty much trained together consistently since. Obviously, he's at TriStar now. I've obviously moved over to TAM, but we stay in touch. And so I've known him since I was little.
And so for like your first UFC fight, is there like a fighter in mind that you'd like to, debut against, or you're just happy whoever UFC would give you?
I'm happy for whoever they give me. Like I have the utmost faith in my manager Jack and also Uriah. Like they'll pick me like a good fight. And by that I don't mean obviously like an easy fight. I just mean like they'll pick one that's like just a good fight. You want your fight to be impressive. I want to go in there and get a good win against a good name that people know. Like I don't want to go in there and start crushing some cans. Not that there's many cans in the UFC, but you know what I mean. But yeah, like I think the skill level, especially in that lower end, like outside of the top 15, I think it's all very close between the girls. So I don't think like which opponent matters too much to me. Like they're all going to be a high level opponent. They're all going to be a nice tough fight. Mm-hmm. So we'll take whoever they give me, really.
Yeah, well, like I was gonna say, with strawweight, it's a pretty stacked division. Like I think out of all the four, there's four women's weight classes in the UFC, and I think strawweight is definitely the one with the highest caliber fighters like throughout the division. Like with bantamweight and stuff, like I just feel like the talent in the strawweight division is a lot higher. So there isn't really, like you said, there's not really any cans in the UFC, but with strawweight, there's really like none at all. So I think any fight,
I think the difference between the fighters, like I said in my interview, like it's marginal. Like it's literally a case of who's putting in that extra session a week or who's done things slightly better. Like it's so small, but I think that's what makes it exciting. So I'll take whatever they give me.
And so for you, like, how's making weight? Like, I mean, with the short notice fight like that, was it relatively easy for you, or did you struggle a little bit?
To be fair, it was actually probably one of the easiest ones I've had. I keep joking about it with my friend because he's like, wait, so rest and calories are good for you? I have a terrible tendency for working too hard. And like, I'm not saying that to blow my own trumpet. Like, I'm always getting told off, and like, you know, my coaches are like, go home, like, have a rest day. Like, so I think if anything, it paid off in my favor a little bit to have a short notice fight, because I was almost a bit more relaxed about it. Like, I didn't run myself into the ground. I wasn't like sneaking off to do extra sessions early in the morning because I didn't know I had anything booked. So I was almost, if anything, it's kind of given me a little kick up the backside to maybe be a little bit not more relaxed, because I don't think I'm too hard. I'm just a bit of a perfectionist. Like, I always want to do more than everybody else. But I think it's kind of shown me that I don't have to do that, and I can kind of listen to the body a little bit. So yeah, I actually think it was better for me this time around, just because, like I say, I was getting a couple of hard sessions in a day, doing a bit more technical work, and I didn't have time to overtrain.
Mm-hmm. I get that. So you're like, I mean, you're ahead of most people here. Like, most people don't get in the UFC until they're a lot older than you, and you're, you know, only 21. So how many years do you see yourself fighting for? Like, what's like a time where you think you'd want to stop fighting because you're so fresh in your career? Like, do you have any idea on that?
I want to be that person that everyone begs to retire.
Yeah.
I can't see myself doing anything else, so it's definitely not something that's crossed my mind. I just want to get as many fights as possible in. I mean, Jack's had nearly 50 fights, so I think I'd be pretty happy if I can get up there with that.
That's pretty badass. Yeah, that's I love it. I think with being a fighter, like, you know, so many of them don't, like, they have that mindset, they want to keep going. I think that's great. You know, I think that's the drive you need to be the champ, and you know, I think that's pretty cool. And you got a long way to go in your career. I mean, you're only 21, and you're already, like, the sky's the limit. You know, it's what was I gonna say? Hey, so how did you get the nickname the Hobbit? I found that kind of funny. That's I like that. Is it like a Lord of the Rings thing, the movie? Like, how'd you come up with that?
To be fair, it's not even really that creative. I always the smallest at the gym.
Right.
And so, like, when I was about 13, 14, competing Thai boxing, my Thai boxing coach turned around one day and was like, oh, you're like a little hobbit, like an aggressive little hobbit. And then obviously everyone started joking about me having like big hairy feet or something, or like just making little tweaks here and there. So eventually everyone was referring to me as Hobbit. I got to the point where people would come in the gym and they'd be like, right, you know, this is such such, this is such such, and then they point me like, that's the Hobbit, like, and it just started sticking. You know, I train with a couple of other smaller lads like that fight at like 115 and 125, so people would walk in and be like, oh, I'm in the Shire. So it just kind of like gradually got more and more like natural, and everyone started using it. Where I train away a lot, I kind of use the Hobbit just as a bit of homage to my first gym, because they say that they were like my first family, so I use it. I was using that, but I did give Uriah a little gift at the end of the fight, and I said I would change my name to Poppins for him as a thank you. So I'm now Cory Poppins.
Oh, so you changed the nickname officially now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, because Sherdog and stuff, they still have it as the Hobbit. So I guess
I haven't cracked that, yeah.
Oh, okay. What was I gonna say? So, like, with how's training at Alpha Male? Like, that's, you know, you've been there for 5 years?
Yeah, more or less 4, I think.
Is there a lot of girls to train with there? They have like a lot of different training partners?
Yeah, there's quite a lot, and obviously, like, I mean, it's renowned for having smaller men
Right.
as well. So like, great, it's great for me. Like you say, everyone on the mat's like probably 145 and below. So
Yeah.
like, compared to obviously a lot of gyms back home, that's ideal. Obviously my main training partner is Sarah McMahon. When I first started coming out here, we had Cynthia Cavillo. So there's definitely been some high level girls on the mats. Obviously, like I say, I'm working with an Olympic wrestler at the moment. So I couldn't ask for any higher level work, really.
Is Cynthia still there at Team Alpha Male?
No.
No, okay, I didn't think so. I didn't think so, but I wasn't 100% sure. What gym did she move to?
I believe she's at AKA at the moment.
Oh, interesting. AKA is oh, really? And that's kind of funny, because isn't that like the rival the rival gyms, like AKA and Alpha Male. Like, I think they kind of, with Dominic Cruz and like Cody, I think those were kind of a rival. So that's interesting that she moved there.
Yeah, I don't know too much. I don't really pay much attention to politics and stuff. I just want to train.
No, fair enough. So as a fighter, what do you think is the most like which style of fighting do you think is the most valuable? Like, if you were going to recommend anywhere to start, like which style, what would you recommend? Like, a lot of people I've asked say wrestling is kind of the
Yeah, I'd agree with wrestling, which funny enough was actually the last thing I started doing. Like we would do wrestling within MMA practices and stuff, but obviously it's not as big back home. I had a great wrestling coach from the age of like 13 upwards, an American guy called Nick Albert. But like as far as wrestling goes, like, I'd be doing it like once a week, and it, like I say, it's the last discipline I kind of included.
right.
But I definitely think that's at the end of the day, you control where the fight goes if you can wrestle.
Right.
If you're a striker and you can't wrestle, like you're just gonna get put on your back. If you're a grappler and you can't wrestle, you're gonna be kept striking. So I definitely think the ability to dictate where the fight goes is definitely a big advantage.
Yeah, I agree with that. And so when you train like in the gym, do you find you train like striking the most, wrestling most, or just is it all like all the above, like kind of equal for
Yeah,
everything?
I really think I balanced it out quite well. Like Uriah is always joking about me with my notebooks and stuff. Like I quite literally, especially before a train like camp, I'll have my timetable written out. I'll have it color coded. I'll have like a little tally count of how many striking sessions I'm getting compared to grappling. Like I try to make sure that I get everything equally. Because at the end of the day, like I say, even if I'm fighting a striker, like I'm not gonna just focus on striking because, like I say, everyone's developing and growing. So I just want to make sure that I'm at my best everywhere, regardless of who I'm fighting.
And so like what's for like in California, do you have like an apartment or anything like that? Like, do you have a place that, or are you staying with someone? Like, what's the living situation like? Because I know you lived in England before, like you go back and forth. So what's that like?
Yeah, I'm pretty much keeping the same lifestyle I had back home, just scrounging off people. No, I'm every time I was out, I was at the fight house. I stayed with Uriah a few times before obviously he started like having like a family and stuff.
Yeah.
How selfish of him. But I just moved in with a friend of mine. I'm on like a couch bed. We've got like a little one bed apartment, so I'm on a couch bed, just staying with him for a bit, helping me out. And then because I'm not rich yet, so gotta keep it smart, keep it cheap. But no, as long as I can get to the gym and everything, I'm happy wherever I am. But yeah, I've got a friend helping me out right now, which is obviously really, really grateful for.
And how far are you from the Alpha Male gym?
I'm only like 3 miles, so I ran yesterday to the gym. I've cycled in most days, so it's really accessible for me. So it's ideal.
Okay, that's good. Do you have like a car, or do you have a license in like a driver's license in the States yet, or?
So I'm not sure how it works, but I'm pretty sure my UK driver's license actually qualifies me to drive. But to be honest, a 3 mile cycle to the gym in the morning, if anything, it just wakes me up. So I don't mind it at all. I actually quite enjoy getting on the push bike, just getting to and from, keeps me moving, keeps me active.
Okay, cool.
Getting lazy and stiffening up.
And so what's like, does like training at like a gym, like Alpha Male is a pretty big gym. Is there like COVID tests there? Like, do the fighters like who aren't having fights at the moment, do they get, tested, or how's that work exactly? Because I'd be like a little nervous to be training with, people who haven't gotten testing done, or so how's it work like with the gym?
Yeah, they're doing temperature checks as people are going in. Obviously, it's very expensive to get people COVID tested, but a lot of us have fought recently. We've got fights coming up, so we're all kind of being smart and checked anyway. Like I've had a cotton swab up my nose like 4 times last, so I'm all good. But yeah, like obviously stereotypical like 21-year-old. I walk around like I'm invincible anyway. But no, everyone's being smart. Like I trust them guys. Like in the same way, if I woke up one morning I wasn't feeling too good, out of respect for my teammates and training partners, I wouldn't, put them at risk. So I trust the same.
Yeah, so like with the COVID test, do they have like just the forehead? Like they have it through the forehead? Because sometimes they have one through the forehead, some is the ear, some's like how's the, what kind of, how do they?
Scanning guns to the forehead.
Yeah, that's what I did at the dentist. They had like the temperature for the forehead. Trying to think. I guess I don't have any more questions. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we wrap up this interview?
Not really. Just maybe give a quick shout out to like Franklin Group that helped kind of finance everything and get my medicals and everything done. And then obviously to Tatami Fightwear that kit me out in all my fight kit for training, and QNT Sports for supplements that keep me going.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you for your time today, Cory. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Nice.
And
thanks.
Yeah, of course. And good luck with getting a new fight. And I really hope to see you in the UFC soon.
Thank you. Hopefully not long.
Yeah, I hope not. All right, take care.
See ya. Thank you.
Bye.